Hello, welcome to our English class. This is Teacher Queenie, and today we are going to learn another lesson that will surely be beneficial to us, especially those who like to read and write. Before we formally start our class, let us have a prayer. Is everybody present? Okay, very good. Now everyone, can you still remember the lesson that we had last time? Can anyone tell me? Okay, very good. Last time we had a lesson about personification. Can you still remember what personification is? Correct. Personification is giving human traits, qualities, feelings, action, or characteristics to non-living objects, things, colors, qualities, or ideas. Now, we are going to learn another literary device, but let us play a guessing game first. This game is called Name That Device. I am going to flash here phrases or sentences and you will identify what literary device is it. Okay, for our first sentence or phrase, we have here black is equal to death or evil, white is equal to life and purity. That's right. This is an example of symbolism. Now for the second sentence, she is as innocent as an angel. Correct. It is simile. Very good. For our third one, the wind howled in the night. Personification. Correct. Very good. Fourth, the dog's bed is a marshmallow. It looks so comfortable. Right, this is a metaphor, but it can also be a hyperbole or exaggeration. The last one, the concert was so loud that my ears rang for days afterward. This is an example of imagery. You are right. Now that we had the activity, do you have an idea now what will be our topic? Okay, so today we are going to focus on the literary device which is symbolism. After our discussion today, you are expected to identify what is symbolism, share the importance of using symbolism in literature, and construct sentences using symbolism. So let us first define what literary device and symbolism are. Literary devices are techniques that writers use to express their ideas and enhance their writing, while symbolism is the use of art using an object, idea, or word to represent an abstract idea, action, person, place, word, or object. So just like the example that I had showed you in our activity a while ago, black was used as a symbol for death or evil, while white was used as a symbol for purity and life. But there are lots of symbols writers use in their works. It is not just limited to colors or anything. And today we are going to discover some of those symbols. Literary devices are techniques that allow a writer to convey a deeper meaning that goes beyond what is on the page. It elevates a story and prompts reflection in life, society, and what it means to be human. One of the many devices that writers use is symbolism. Symbolism is a literary device that uses symbols, be they words, people, marks, locations, or abstract ideas, to represent something beyond the literal meaning. So, just like the example that I showed you in our activity a while ago, black was used as a symbol for death or evil, while white was used as a symbol for purity and life. But there are lots of symbols writers use in their works. It is not just limited to colors. And today we are going to discover some of those symbols. One of a literary work that uses symbolism is the poem written by Robert Frost from the late American period. Late American period is between 1870 and 1910. There were two main movements that took place in the American literature: realism and naturalism. Realism was a literary movement that focused on ordinary characters and ordinary everyday life situations. Hence, the term itself, realism, real. Naturalism often included themes of survival, determinism, and violence. One of the writers of this time is the American poet Robert Frost. He was much admired for his depictions of the rural life and realistic verse portraying ordinary people in everyday situations. So here, this is the poem written by Robert Frost entitled Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. And today we are going to examine and determine what symbols did he use in crafting this masterpiece. Let us read it first. Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up the snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Now that we have finished reading the poem, can you tell me if you have noticed symbols in there? Yes, definitely. Symbols are everywhere in the poem. And here they are. First, the woods. We can treat woods as symbol of mystery and danger, but as the lyrical eye says, it's also lovely. We can read those woods as if it is a metaphor of world where people usually don't see it and ignore the beauty and mystery of the surrounding. Next is the village, which was mentioned on the second line. The village can be interpreted as a civilization or society in which there is a house of the no mentioned owner. As far as we can guess, it is God. This means that God's house or the church is there among the society. Next is the snow. The snow implies the purity he feels when he is alone. It's just him. The fourth one is the horse. The horse is personified by expression in line 5 that my little horse must think it queer. Horses do not think as animals, so it must be read as if the horse is a human being. The traveler is the person of the poem. Although the traveler enjoys the view of wood, he decides to continue his journey to reach his goal. Probably it may be death. He decides to continue his journey through life and reach his destination. Night. The night symbolizes the cold, the dark, and the snowy evening. These elements of the description build a specific atmosphere of anxiety, fear, and thoughts that something bad might happen. Finally, the last symbol used in this poem is the sleep, referenced in the final stanza. Sleep symbolizes the final destination and darkness and the depth of the woods. Though the narrator wishes he could stop for a longer period of time in these woods because it is so lovely to be in such solitude and peaceful darkness, he realizes ultimately that he cannot. So, from the discussion that we just had, did you understand the role that symbolism plays in literature? Do you think it is useful and important? Yes, absolutely. Now, who is the author of the poem? Correct, it is Robert Frost. What is the poem all about? It's about the traveler who is stuck on the woods but decided to continue his journey. Who is the person in the poem? It is a he, and he is a traveler. Cite a line that uses symbolism. And why do you think the author used symbolism? So, to see if you have really understood our discussion, take a look at this poem by William Blake and identify the symbolisms used in this poem entitled London. Can you tell me your answers? Correct. All of your answers are actually correct. That's very good of you. Now, do you have questions? None? Well, if there is none, I will be the one to ask you some questions. What have you learned from the discussion? Did you encounter any challenges or difficulties? What do you think is the importance of using symbolism in literature? Thank you for your responses. Wow, it is very nice of you to understand our lesson for today. Now let us have an activity. Get one whole sheet of paper and follow the instructions of this activity. First, read and analyze the poems of William Wordsworth entitled My Heart Leaps Up When I Behold and The Moon by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Identify the symbols used in each poem and explain in one paragraph if the symbols align with the overall tone and theme of the poem. For the second one, construct a short poem using symbolism. 2 paragraphs at most. I require you to write the answers legibly on a one whole sheet of paper and take a picture of it and upload it in our Google Classroom later after our class. Is everybody finished? Okay, very good. Do you have questions? Don't be shy to ask. Okay, if there is none, I take that as you have really understood our discussion today. Now for your assignment, I want you to read the poem Directive by Robert Frost and identify its symbols or the symbolism used by Frost in the poem. Pass your answers in our Google Classroom, and the deadline is tomorrow at 8 a.m. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our class today. See you in our next class. Bye.